Hello, friends. It's me, Cynthia, and Marty. Straighten up that bow tie. And Azalea, she's behind the camera. Hello,
Hello.
hello, my friends. I see Debbie. Hello from California. Hello, Morphing Designs. Hello, Karen. Hello, hello, friends. We just wrapped up the little crafty about how many minutes ago would you say that was? Like right at 6. The show ended at 6 today, and it's kind of funny. So yesterday was super cold, like 30 degrees for us. It's super cold. And I was like, I don't know if anyone's going to be at the show. So we kind of, we're kind of relaxed about it. And little did we know that it was going to be super busy, so busy. I mean, there were people lined up. So it was pretty intense. It was pretty amazing. So we had a very busy day. I feel like I'm looking at it.
Everybody's kind of tired and dazed.
We had kind of one of those days. It was pretty long, but in a good way. It was a really good day. Marty had the whole day to relax and do his own thing, and he's like, "Come on, Ma, get in here, son. Get in here." He's helping.
Son.
Hey, son, get in here and help your mom. I'll fix that camera back up there so you can see his paws. The delight of my life is looking at that cat's paws. So if you're wondering, hey, why does Thornton look so haggard? That's why. We worked a full day and tore down the show. Here we are. Oh, the little crafty. Melanie says, hello. Hope you did amazing at the crafty today. Yes, we did. Oh, hi, Kathy. Oh, Connie. Thank you, Connie, for showing up and shopping with me yesterday. That was good times. Got to see our friend. And I made a friend with a gal named Ann. And Ann is a wood turner. And it was pretty cute. She makes bowls. Oh, that's a level now. Out from a lathe and wood and turns them. It's pretty awesome. Morphing Design says, glad it was a good show. And Allie says, that's great. It was great because, listen, at one point, and this is not an exaggeration, I'm like, where am I looking? I feel like I usually can look at my own face, and that is usually where my eyes are going, but this time I'm not sure why. It's a little bit different. I guess I got to look directly into the green dot. But there, at one point, there was 3 people deep trying to get to our table to look, just to look. Can you believe that? It's nuts. And it was awesome. And yesterday was the big, busy day, and I was expecting. So there are times when you'll do a show. So am I looking right into it? I'm trying to figure out if I'm looking right in. Oh, I see Clem. Hey, Clem. It was so busy that I was like, this is like the old times of a show. Like when people were clustered all around trying to get to the table. I was like, what? What's going on here? And those trolls, you have a week if you want to see it in Nashville. I think it comes down next weekend. But they are so much cuter than they look like from the pictures. So if you're on the fence and you're within a driving range, it's worth it to come out and see. I think if you like them, that's if you're going to do other things, it's good times. Oh, I see Nancy. Hello, Nancy. But we had a fantastic show. Today was a little slower, but I heard from some of the customers they were turning people away because it was at capacity. Can you believe that? That's a lot. And people were like, it was backed up from the entrance was like over a mile, and there was cars waiting. And it was like, holy smoke! So that was what we did over the weekend. And I wanted to share. I got a cranky kit, and it's one of those things where you turn the top, and it's like those old toys that have like a vinyl. It's from like I want to say the '60s, where you turn you can either turn a knob and it changes the picture, so you can draw or paint something. So it can be like kind of like an animation. And I got a zine on Rizzo printing, because you can print hot pink. I am not going to get this printing set up because I have enough crafts, y'all. Enough crafts. But anyway, we had a good day, and I was like, "What's this chain here? Is this silver, dog? Can you tell if that's silver? Does that look like silver chain? Kind of looks like silver to me.
Maybe.
Yeah, it looks like silver. I was thinking I'd have some bronze chain, but now that I look at this, I'm like, this is silver. What was I doing? Because I'm trying to do some. I have this kit we were working on, or that I just finally am now going to get a chance to work on, and I wanted to do it on bronze chain. I see some paper clip here. But we had a good day, so I'm glad about that. Anyway, I thought today that we could work with Gaia's Treasures. That's one that our last kit that our lucky dip that we did, and I haven't gotten a chance to play with it yet. I would like to make a chain necklace. It's my favorite thing to make right now. At first I thought maybe we could do it with sections with mixed chain, but I might just do one that's more like either a lariat style. There's a few ways you can go with it that I would like to have for myself. So I was going to give it a few minutes and let folks join. We're at the 6-minute mark, and I usually like to let it go to like 8 minutes or so, let people have a minute to join us. But anyway, it was a good show. It was really nice to catch up with some friends that stopped by, and I showed off my game. I did that like I don't know how many times, maybe like 5 times. By 5, I mean 50 times. I mentioned it. I just got them back from being scanned, and the scans are so good. You can see the texture, fiber of the paper. That's how intensely good that these scans are. They're really good. Look at this kitty. That cat's wide-head. He's like, I will accept payment immediately before beginning. Oh, I see Jeanette. Hello, hello, my friend. Straighten out your bow tie. And I showed Marty's picture probably 500 times. People didn't even ask. They were like just standing there. And then I was like, hey, you want to see a picture of my cat? And pretty much every single time they said yes. Even I'm sure there were some dog people, but every single person was like, yeah, look.
Now look.
Yeah, they looked. He must have heard everybody talking about how handsome and charming this cat is. It's my cat. All right, my friends, let's do this. So what we're working with today, the Gaia's Treasures. I have my little 20-gram pack right here, and I'm going to dump these into a bowl. Oh, and I'm also I didn't show the result of this. This was good news. So last week we finished off some of these crochet thread necklaces, and this is one of the ones I did. I cut it apart and put this one on instead of what was on it before was a flower and a loop. But the loop that I made, man, it had like the ugliest. It was like, I don't know what I was thinking about. It was not good. And I liked how clean this looked. So anyway, that was good. And one thing I noticed for the show, so I sold a bunch of earrings today, and they were in the 42 to 48 mark. And I probably sold 5 or 6 pairs. And I used watercolor paper, like really good, thick, handmade watercolor paper that I got at an estate sale. And so I colored it. You can barely see the color on this. I don't know. Can you see that? It's very mild coloring. It's too much strong light. And here's another one. I tore these so that you could get the deckled edge into pieces like, let me see, kind of like halved and then halved again. Let's see. It's super thick. And this, you know what the good part about this is? So if you're like me and I never sell all of my stock. I could make, I don't know if I've ever even heard of anybody selling every single thing that they've ever made when they bring it to a show. But so sometimes you have your stock left over, and I was using these tags like this. They're kind of common, and they're okay. But the only thing is it starts to look kind of chewed up. I don't know if you can tell that. They don't look as clean or as good. Like they get kind of, kind of dinged up. And so I took those apart, and instead I used this paper. And I got this paper, estate sale, or maybe it was a thrift shop. I don't remember which. But sometimes I'll look for supplies and materials at places like that because it's kind of recycling it, and sometimes they'll just throw away. Like one guy was like, I didn't know that was what that had any value, and I was like, I don't want to hear any stories about watercolor paper being tossed in the trash, but I bend it and then rip it. Sometimes you can get a Deckler. I couldn't find it. It's a ruler with a wavy gravy edge on it, and what happens is when you just tear it, I fold it and tear it. And it has that cool look, but or say you buy a bunch of that watercolor paper and you're like, I'm never gonna use it. You know what you can do? You can turn it into these little cards, which is what I did, and it actually, I feel like it sold my whatchamacallit, all my earrings. Oh, I see Wendy, I see Shannon and Donna. And Clem says, pulling out the board on which I organized the Gaia kit. Yum. So happy to have some time to savor this. It's been a rough few weeks. I hear that. We're all kind of a little rough around the edges. Oh, hello, Jeanette. Did I already say hello? Well, hello again. Hello, all my friends. The gang's all here tonight. Yes, Zoe's on the other side. She is making some beadwork, and she sold several of her bead bracelets. So that's good news. Good news, and a doll.
Yeah,
So she was happy. It was a nice surprise. So anyway, let's see. I'm gonna flip this camera around. Oh, hello, Nilda. Hello, friends. Let's see, Donna. Melanie is ready for that. She is so ready for her Gaias. Put this back here. Oh, here's a sample of a necklace that I did with those chompers. I call them chompers. They look like little Pac-Man. So this is one way too. This is like one of the fastest ways is to put a bead, one of those knot covers. That's been a long time since I did that. Right, so let's get back over here. Hello, Michelle. So here's mine. Let me dump that into this. Wendy says, I'm surprised you have any left of those bracelets. She had a lot of people looking, that's for sure. There's a lot of looking. Oh, so I got this little spatula, and it's a spreader, but I've been using it for this purpose. This is that handmade paper I was talking about. You can't see it, but on this, but compared to this side, which is white, you can see a little bit of that texture. So this is what I was doing with it. Maybe I have a pair of earrings I can show this, because they actually, you would be surprised how this little detail. And I ended up selling, and I put some of the earrings, like the more expensive ones, on this kind of larger size. Let me just show how I did it.
Sorry. I'm digging through all the stuff, looking for my supplies, kind of making a new bracelet.
Check this out. So this actually, sometimes if you have something that's sitting a minute, depending on changing up your display is one of my ways to refresh. And if something's not moving, check the display. Maybe your display needs altering. So you guys have seen me make these, and I sell them at $48. I'm not sure. This is old silver prices, so you could probably do, I don't know, you can You know what? I saw the prices of some of the Tucson prices for silver was up to, no joke. I was going to show it. It was in my text, but it was like $8 a gram. So I was like, how much would that even be for these guys? So just a little tip: if you have some handmade paper, or you don't know what to do with it because it's really toothy. Can you see that texture? It's almost like a sponge. Anyway, what's good about it is it's thick, but if it gets a little bit bent up, it doesn't look like this. It doesn't look like that. And you can draw on it on the other side if you felt like it, or add. I might add a little bit of watercolor to just add to that to make it look extra pretty. And then you put the price on the back, and then you're ready to go. And it helps. It's better, I think, better than this. See, if they're not fresh, they immediately don't look great. So I think it's like 1 or 2 shows before they look chewed up. So anyway, here you can look at this a little closer. I have this going on. This is how we finished it on, what day did we do this on? Was that last week when we did this?
I don't remember.
I don't remember either. Let me see if they can get in there and see. This is with the, boy, I hate it when it does that. When it's like, oh, you have something in the background, so we must make sure that there's nothing else that we can't focus. I think it's showing. That looked good. So that's that crimp. I kind of love it for this, but I will say I kind of regretted not putting a thicker piece of chain like at the end in case, because this is kind of short and I wanted to wrap it, but I didn't make it long enough. So had I instead looped on a little piece, like, let me just lower this. You can do this. So had I put this guy on there, it would have been like a nice extender. You know, you could do like something like that instead of, you know what I mean? And then this can be dangling. So if you wanted to extend it, depending on the neckline of your shirt, extend it a little bit or a lot, depending, you know? So anyway, that's a good one. If in case this works okay, the only thing is the width of this little flower is problematic for the hook. So you have to have a hook that doesn't have any kind of thickness. So this is a wide hook. And by wide, I mean the distance between the thickness of this right here. So I have to go in sideways. But that's good because it doesn't come apart that easily. Anyway, that's another way you can finish it. And I showed that. Where'd that one go? Like this. This is doing knot covers. See that? How that's. And these are okay. This is a very fast way to finish it too. And this is, if you do not love finishing, this one's good because you can just burn the end and like make it small, you know, go in, put it through the hole here, melt it again, and then close it. So I like to melt the heck out of it before I close it. So it's not ever going to come apart. But this one, look how sloppy I did that. Oh my gosh. Right there. So anyway, that's one way, and it works good. I see y'all. Oh, I see Abby. Hello, Abby. And I see Charlene. Hello, hello, my friends. What are you guys talking about? Love my Subaru. I know several people. Listen, Asheville is chock full of Subarus. It's like the most favorite vehicle is a Subaru around here. All right, so here are my choices. I have this chain. I believe that looks like silver to me. Doesn't that look like silver? It looks like I patinaed it. But here's bronze to compare it. That piece of, oh, it's right here because it's naked. It bit me. I'll tell the difference right there. This is a little short. I cut this down. And I would love to do a cleaning on it. Let me see if I have paper towel. Sometimes I can clean it that way. Or a wet nap is a good one. A quick wipe. I was thinking about doing mixed metals, but I don't know. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. You never know. I have all the fixins. This is from when I was doing some earrings. And there's silver and bronze. And it was funny, the stuff that I had in silver, usually there were people bugging me about, hey, don't you have any silver? It was funny, I did not hear a peep about it, you know? Oh, Wendy wants to do some car shopping. That sounds fun. And you know what? I saw, what was it that I was looking at? I believe it was a Subaru, and they had the whole ceiling of the car was a window, like a moonroof or whatever you call it. That'd be pretty cool if the whole thing slid down like my RAV. It opens. I have a RAV4 hybrid, and you know what? That car's never once given me a problem. It's a good car. All right, so if I can decide here what I'm going to do. Now, I've made different necklaces. Sometimes I won't use this little feature. I just bought those separately. I buy this by the foot. Sometimes you can get it on like a roll. And it's made in the States, you know, this kind of chain. It's from New Jersey, I believe. Or no, Rhode Island. They make it some chain in Rhode Island. Now, I made a necklace before with this. And one of my favorite ways to make a necklace is to do the lariat where you're like this. You can do a short lariat. And then you don't need a clasp. But if you're going to do that, you need to be 100% confident that the weight of your stones is going to be enough to hold your chain. So if you do a spray down here of things, like 2 little tassel amounts, then you need to make sure it's heavy enough to keep it from sliding apart. Because if you're doing like this to close it, the standard lariat design is like this, right? So you have it, I don't know what the right word for that is. It's just crossed over. That's the way the necklace goes. Sometimes it can open. And I have a really cool one. Now that I think of it, I haven't seen it in a minute. But it's a good one to do. This design is particularly good to do dangles. So you could do it like this. Let's see, get in here a little tighter. Abby says, my Highlander is 22 years old. Never a problem. That's good. I don't like a problem vehicle. If there's one thing I can't take is a problem with my vehicle. So I could do that. That's one way that I like to make a necklace. And another way is where I have everything either asymmetrically, like where things are dangling like that. Let's see. Or in a kind of design that's, maybe I'll just go all clears if I'm going to do that. Or all pink and green. Like pale colors. Here I go, doing another color shift. I can't help myself, yo. It's like a sickness. Not really, I like it. Maybe I'll do that. That looks like it'd be kind of cool. What do you think? That cute? Maybe? I love a color shift, so I don't know. I have to think about it. And with these type of things, you can do mixed textures. That's another. Or they can all be down at the bottom. You know? Let's see. Wendy says, no, not so much. It's just always awkward going car shopping. I always feel on the defensive, except the Subaru guy. I think those just sell themselves. Yeah, I think so. I think it's just like, you know, I like a Honda and I like a Toyota. I've had good luck with those in the past, so I tend to stick with what has worked for me in the past. But I could do bronze and then silver wire. So sometimes it's good. I like mix and match. And I find people will say, oh, I noticed you have a mix and match and I like it. So sometimes there are people who are into it. and sometimes it's they don't say anything, so maybe they don't care for it. It's anybody's guess. But I could do. I love a cluster so that it makes a sound, like a little shimmering thing. So maybe I'll do that. And to get around the thing where it comes apart, I could always clasp it in the front. Abby says, I always end up doing color shift. Can't do random for some reason. Random can be fun if you're doing like a candy kind of coloration. I feel like that's a good one for, like, say we have, let's see, like this is going to be the front of your neck. If I'm going to do random, I want it to be kind of, there has to be some kind of, to me, like some kind of element tying it together. Either if it's random shape, then they need to be, for me, like in a similar color palette. So I would do a monochromatic. And it seems that that is a good way to get a cohesive look, if that makes sense. But even then, look, I'm doing it now. It's like, let's see if I can do it where I force myself to be random. It's so hard. But if you can see that it kind of has a vibe when there is, it's too matchy. Let's see if I find another one. I'm doing a monochromatic in this way just to see what it looks like. I don't know. What do you guys think? Let's see. When he says, I must say, though, the Subaru and the brand new Minis have some very sexy dashboard features. Yeah, that new Mini has a neat, like, it lights up when you turn it on, it lights up the street. At least Kate's does. She has a Mini. I think she has the sedan where you can fit, like, it's not the 2-seat, but the 4-seat. How do you guys feel about that? That's pretty cute. What do you think, daughter? You like that story?
Yeah.
There's I'm all the time. What's in here? So many things. This is what I was using for earrings. You can see I was prepping it. Let's see what I have here. Maybe I won't do mix. You never know. Although, you know what? I kind of like it not mixed. The yellow of this with the purple and pink, I think looks pretty good, actually. So I might do that. I love these faceted pearls that are in there. Man, I was on the hunt to find really good faceted pearls, but that was not in the cards as far as I could see. Did not happen. But you know what? I have some from the past, and that's pretty good. No, that's not the same one. Oh, thank you. It says yes. Wayne says yes, looks good, but I think that's Kathy. It's this thick one didn't want to fit, so put that one out of the way. I love that coloration right there. I met a lady today that built her own canoe, and it was so cute. It was clear because she used PVC, and I was so amazed by that. She was like, "It's only 30 some pounds," and some of the kayaks are pretty heavy. Maybe not quite that heavy. I feel like that's kind of heavy, just because I have to, to lift it over your head. Where's the hole in it? It's like a little piece of. Kind of reminds me of a flower petal. Oh, hello, Cecilia. Abby says, I love that. So monochromatic with random shapes. I would feel pretty good with that. Monochromatic-ish. Like, we have purple. So they sit together on the color wheel. We have pink, purple, and red, or kind of I don't know. It's more of a light pink. So it's not technically completely monochromatic, but in the same vicinity, I guess. So there's a kind of a pinky purplish opal. Let's get that one in there. That could be pretty. And you know what? Sometimes with rondelles, one of the things that I like to do, it's like, is it monochromatic if I match the color of the chain? Oh, I get it. I'm thinking about it. So this one is not going to have mixed wire. I think I'm going to go in with all brass or bronze, whatever this wire is. Hello, Nancy. Wendy says, wow, my longtime friend carved one out of wood. Crazy. Yeah, my brother also. My brother Dwayne made a beautiful boat. And, can hardly believe some things that these woodworkers can make. I was like, I do not need another hobby.
Fixation.
But here we are. I was like, I already want to build my own bike. And I told my brother, I was like, hey, so I really want to build a titanium bike just like you. And he's like, well, you have to come down to Florida. And I was like, my mom wants me to come visit, and it's 10 hours to get down there. So
You were just there.
And we were just there. So I don't know. Mom, if you're listening, I'll do my best. But Azalea wants to see her. If I say BF, that's a best friend.
Mm.
Best friend and also boyfriend can be combined.
Yeah.
I think that looks good. Pretty good. Anyway, you should have seen this boat. It was like no boat I've ever seen. You couldn't see it because she chose clear PVC, and I think it was like some kind. It looked like, I'm not sure what kind of material. I'm going to make my life easy by putting on my optivisors. Let's see how fast I can make these. I might not. One of the things that I do when I'm making these is I don't put them onto the necklace until I kind of made up my mind about where I'm going to place them. So I'll make a bunch of elements and then go back in and kind of place them. But when I'm placing them, I'm looking for, one of the things I like to look for is balance. So if you have a random assortment, one thing you want to make sure that you have is a balance of weight, visually and actual weight. Because if you have a random, not even random, any of these necklaces, and one side is kind of like you put the beads and it's 100% completely random, it can turn on your neck in a way that looks not how you might want it to look. If that makes any sense. You can have it can be skewed because the weight is off. So look at that. And what I mean is so this isn't super heavy, but it's visually heavy. I would want to make sure that I either put this one where I want the front to fall, or if I put it on the side, I want something that has a visual balance. So something about the same size. Let me see if I have something in there that's about the same. I could do another pearl. That might be interesting. Oh, Carolyn says, I started watching. My Gaia mix arrived yesterday. I really like it. I have pears in a few stones. Nice. That's always a good feeling. Let me see how that will look. I don't know. I think that's pretty. Could be where it's sort of like. So if I put this here, I'm going to need something on this side that has that kind of length. Otherwise, it kind of looks strange. So let's see. I might go another one of these if it's a random mix. Although I was kind of saving those little rubies to make earrings, I think it still works. Or you can make clusters where they're clustered close, and that gives it an actual weight so that it doesn't, like if it's too heavy, whatever the heaviest side is always going to be at the bottom. So if you don't want that, you just have to kind of design with that in mind. And how far up do I want to go? This is the back of the neck, right? So that's the back. How far up? am I thinking? And how much space? You could do it where they're like small clusters, like this, like clusters of 3, and maybe clusters of 3 here, and that's pretty cool. Let me see how that looks. I don't know. What do you guys think? Clusters? Abby says pairs is awesome. I always take them out right away. I know. I love it. I love to have a good pair because then you want to make earrings. Abby says something to think about for sure. Visualize balance and actual balance. Well, I've had things that visually balance, but one side is heavier than the other, and then you know what happens is the whole necklace does one of these, and there's no, like, you'd have to put a counterweight. So sometimes it's good to, like, I don't know, maybe have a scale handy to check the actual weight, but if it's close-ish, it won't do it. But the key to making it not is making sure that you have something that actually is heavy. Like this pearl is not that, it's visually heavy, but it's not actually heavy because it's a real lightweight piece. So maybe what I'll do is make, sapphires and rubies are a little bit heavy. So I'll put some of those down at that part. And that will help with that. Maybe this one goes down here. So I'm going to put that at the equal distance. And one thing, I just cut this. Now, it doesn't look as professional that way. So if I were to make this for sale, I would put a little added thing on the end so it looks like it's just more professional than just leaving it. Because, this is trimmed chain, so I don't want to have to go hunt for it. I mean, it'd be better to do that where you have a little round piece that connector is round. And you could also make that if you had a long looking lobster claw, then that would match it better. But this is what I had, and I thought it looked fine. Carolyn says a few clusters looks cool. I see a lot of folks like the clusters. Yeah, I like that. Abby says another reason I like to separate the colors and shapes and string them up so I can see them. Yeah, I do like to separate them. That's almost just like when I'm creating, I would put these in piles. But what ends up happening is what I do every time. I could never keep them like that. They'd end up getting scraped back into the bowl. All right, so I like that. I like the idea of the multiple clusters. So we'll do one right at the bottom. I'm going to make sure it's right at the center. So usually what I do is I'll let it hang, and then I find the center mark. And in this case, it's right here. It's this one. And I'm going to put the first one. I might want to do where it's multiple links, because sometimes if you're using paper clip chain and you put 1 or 2 on there, you have to sort of decide if it's going to be like hanging down like that or if it's going to be in the middle, because you're going to put your piece in between those pieces of chain, your links. So I'm going to have it hanging from that one and this one right here. And maybe one of these guys, because I feel like the ruby is pretty heavy. So we'll do that. That's the choice there. Or maybe, yeah, that looks pretty good. The clusters are pretty. I think they're a little bit different. Clem says, loving the clusters, getting lots of inspiration from you today, as always. Thank you. I invited several people to come over and craft with me today. I was like, listen, we're not craft. I worked hard, so now's my chance.
I know you really love asking people to come to the house.
I know, but then when it's time, I have to clean the house, and nobody likes that story.
Then it's like, why did I say that?
Mm-hmm. But I do like to hang out, so that's what makes it hard. One other thing that you have to kind of think about with this that I've noticed with paperclip chain especially is the tendency for it to be easy to flip. Meaning it's like getting them all on the same level where one is not always constantly flipping is on something like with this cluster, it's not as noticeable. I tell you, it's kind of funny how like the stiffer chain is a little easier to navigate than the stuff that's like super skinny because it can kind of get away from you. At least it does with me, especially when I'm live. I'm chasing the end of that real skinny wire around. Usually, y'all, when you're looking at my wire wraps, um, it's hard to see online. So what I usually do when I'm done is I go back in and tidy them up after the fact. So don't worry, that's not how they go out into the world. If you're like, man, her wire wraps are only okay. And this is one of the things that happens with paperclip chain. See how it does that? That's how it does it. So you just have to either fill up this one row or the one link, and that can kind of look pretty cool. We'll see what happens with that. Shannon says, I like to do a cluster Y also. They don't, this kind of method, it looks more full. And when people are looking at necklaces, sometimes they're like, one thing is the price. You want to keep the price where it's not too high, so you can get the maximum amount of money out of your collection. So something like this, if you look at it, you're really using, let's see, you're not using a ton of beads, but it looks good. Still looks good. I can go with that one there. And you can decide, hey, do I want them to be equal? Like, are one of these going to be like a cluster right here, exactly the width apart? Or it can be like this. And this is one of the ones that I like to do as well, where if they're smaller, this is where the visual thing comes in. You can go 1, 2, 3, then cluster over here on this side. You have another cluster, maybe it's like a smaller cluster, and then, or it's like that, maybe going up a little more. And that's what I'm talking about with visual balance and actual balance. So you have 3 still. The color is more saturated on this side. Maybe I'll go in with a lighter color right down in here and see what that flow looks like. Do I like it? What do you guys think? Is that one a little not matching? Let's see. Maybe I'll get one that's a little bit different. This clear one might be cool. And that's one of the reasons I like to put clears in, because they go with pretty much everything. Off center on sides. Yeah. Oh. Carolyn says, I see Kate and Janice on Bead Shop having been using the rounded oval carabiner clasp at the bottom with dangles, another design option. Yeah, we had those for a little bit in one of our kits. It's like, the spring clasp, and I was using those so I can take things off. And I think that works pretty well. All right, what do we think about that? That look pretty good? Let's see. I mean, one of the good things about when you're working with some of this more like the base metal, like this brass chain, is that if you hate it, you don't feel so guilty about like pinching it off and starting over. Now, so with sterling, I will live with some things. I'm like, I don't love it, but it'll work. But you know what? With this, I will be like, nah, I'm going to redo it. This is what I was talking about with the finer chain. Sometimes it gets away from me, and after the fact, I'll go in and I'll straighten everything out and go in with these rounded off pliers and bend them. And then afterwards, after they're bent into shape, I'll smash them down with flat pliers so they don't budge anymore. Because sometimes the fine wire can be tricky to not be bent up, after a while. Like, it can get kind of skewed because it's very fine. Move these over. think it'll look good. Yeah, I noticed that the sterling went down. Oh, Wendy says, "Girl, we're all here because we adore you, Cynthia. We are not here judging your raps. If any is, they need to go." That's cute. Well, I do like a nice wrap. I'm not gonna lie. I don't like a nice wrap. But I will say I do tend to fix them after because it's hard to do it when you're, on the live. And it's only hard because you can't get like sometimes when I'm doing these, I have this like 1 inch from my nose, even with optic visors. I have it close up to my face. Like this is the sloppiest wrap I've ever seen. I might have to redo this one, y'all. Gosh, it's embarrassing. Yeah, I usually will fix up. And by fix up, sometimes you can just go in like with this and slide that through and round it out again so it doesn't look so, as the young people call it, chopped. Is that the right way in usage?
Chopped?
Yeah, if it looks not so good.
Yeah.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Azalea sometimes teaches me the right way to use some of these phrases of the young people. And it makes her laugh when I get it, when I get it right. She's like, good job. It's like another, like Duolingo. And then if after I finish it, like that side's still kind of rough, I'll fix it and smash it. See, then it doesn't get as misshapen. Sometimes this thin wire can be kind of easy to get out of line if it gets caught on your collar or something. They can be pulled out of joint. I don't like that story. So I smash them. It also makes it look faceted and covers up any ugly tool marks. So that's what that looks like when it's not bad. Now, one other thing that's kind of fun is you can keep adding if you want to, if you feel like it needs it. If it needs it, you can add to it. Let's see. Let's get this out of the way. Distracting me. Okay, I'm going to grab a little bit more of this. Karen says, I guess we could use gauge wire that fits our gem holes. 24 to 26 range would be safe for strength. What do you think? Yes. I mean, what is this? Oh, this is 28 gauge. I have some 26. That might even be easier. Maybe I'll redo that one. Oh, I made a mess with this. Look what happened with this. Yeah. Hate when that happens. Let's see if this will fit it. Where's the end? This fell off the table and rolled, so now it's this cluster. Let me see if that fits it. So this is 24. And these are also 24. I don't know if that fits. Where'd it go? Oh, yeah. Why did I do that with those rubies? I think that fit. Let's see if it fits it. Because that might be even better. Because this is 24, and I used 28 on this one. I might redo that because it looks too skinny. And this is, that's the 28. Let me see if I have 26. So some of the beads do have very small holes, but if you have, oh no, that's 20 gauge. That's too heavy. That's for support for a heavy project. And 18 gauge. I guess I don't need 18 gauge. I'm not sure what I did with my 26, but I think that's one that I always use. Now it's like now that I'm hunting it, I don't see it. So we'll just live with 24 and 26. I think that will fit this load of light. Yep. This is a 24. So I sometimes will have a mix of different stone or wire types with me so that I can choose my own adventure. For the most part, these have nice big holes. Y'all know how I like a large hole. I do not like when I have to fight with my wire or I don't like to fight with it trying to force it in. That's no fun at all. It's not what I like to do with my jewelry making. I like it to be easy. I like it to be fun. Oh, what are you doing to that cat?
Kissing.
Very cute. He doesn't want your loving. You hear that cat he is getting attacked.
He doesn't mind.
No, he doesn't mind that much. Except he said, I'm a professional. I'm working.
He gets mad when the cameras are pointing at him and then I kiss his face.
Mm-hmm. He's like, do not disrespect me in front of people. Come on. We talked about this.
Kissing is okay with him.
Yeah, that looks pretty good. Those trolls, I don't know how they said that they did them in parts because I was like, how did they ever move these gigantic sculptures? It's pretty awesome. And then I was like, what else could be had here in Asheville that would draw such a crowd? I couldn't think of what other people would want to see. I think that looks pretty good. Sometimes I like to do a rondelle where it's like face first, like it's like this. So it turns into a little pendant. It's a rondelle. Usually they're stacked up, but sometimes they look like little windows when they're this way. Alex says, I wanted to try crocheting with my guy's bead. What gauge would you suggest? For crochet, I would say, Abby says, I never have the right gauge head pins. Well, that's why you get a whole caboodle of head pins. And if you don't have it, get a little torch. I have a creme brulee torch, and I make. Now, you can't do it with, I don't think brass wants to be melted down, but copper and silver, you can just make little head pins if you don't have them. What was I hunting? I forgot what I was hunting. What was I doing? What was I? Let me see. What? I'm gonna try. Oh, there it is. I wanted to try crochet. I would say micro cord fits everything. I mean, it should. I use it. Nothing should not fit these in with micro cord. And that is, well, they call it micro cord, and it's nylon. I have some here. Yeah, we have it. We have some. We have it in charcoal, plum, or eggplant color. A really pretty eggplant. The charcoal is good because I think it's this kind of color.
We have it in.
No, this is not the color. We have this.
Eggplant and beige.
This is the beige. So the beige looks pretty good.
The beige is a little lighter than that.
I thought it was this.
That's
not
darker.
This.
No, the beige is more like.
So this
beige is paler than this.
It's called micro cord. We have it on our site. I think it's like $4 or $5. You'll get a lot of necklaces out of it, and it's strong. I've never had it where this breaks unless you use some kind of really super sharp beads. And by sharp, I mean like sometimes a metal bead can have a very sharp hole. And sometimes I'll take a little file and go around the edge, and that can help with that, so it doesn't scrape your thread off. Because that's one of the things. Like if it has a really sharp hole, it can really mess up your work and it won't last as long. So I try to check the bead holes of some of my stones. If it's really sharp, then I'll say, I don't know if I'm gonna use those. Use that for a different project. Nice. And that kind of shows off. I don't know if it reads, but this is like a little cloud in there. It looks just like a cloud. Okay, so that's one option. I don't know if that's a good, like, I don't know if I like that cluster. But the beauty of it is that you can go in and get in between and make it more full. C-lawn, S-lawn, yes, that's a micro cord. C-lawn or S-lawn, that's exactly what you want. And the name is micro cord. So it's not fine. Fine is like one level of thickness up. It's not much more thick, but it's definitely, there's a little bit of a difference. And you can get with microcore, you can get like this kind of a very fine work, you know. The next size up will look really good too. It's just not as, like, it's not as delicate, It looks more, I don't know how to describe it. It's just one thickness up. It's a little, gives you a little heavier gauge. And the other thing with a little bit heavier, I feel like this collection has a lot of small pieces, a lot of small elements in there. There's a lot of black opal. You can see all the little black opal in there. They roll to the, those would be perfect for using in a crochet necklace. And those are, that's this. This is the same thing. But the black opal on this, see that? It's like this. That's what, this is actually better quality. This is actually, if you look at the quality of these guys, they're rondelles and they're perfectly cut and they're perfectly drilled. I had to fight for my life to get these guys in there, and I did not love that story. So these rondelles are, look how, like, so much color in there. It's so good. Alex says, okay, I'll take a look. I've done the file-on beetles when I've knit bead necklaces. Oh, I haven't knit anything. I crocheted, but knit to me is a little more, I don't know. I knit some wire once. Or no, I did crochet wire. I think we did that. And you know what I made with it? I made hairpins. It was kind of interesting. And now that I think about it, it would make a very good head pin, or not hair. Like
knitting with pin. Wire would be easier than crocheting with wire because you just stick it
knitting
into the
would
loop.
Be pretty hard, I think.
I think
with
crochet
wire
is harder with wire because it seems like you have to wrap it and then put it through the stitch and then pull it back out again, wrap it again, and then go through all the loops. When you're knitting, you just stick your needle in the loop and pull through another loop just once per loop.
Carolyn says, did we say if silk cord is too thin for gem crochet, maybe for the teeny beads and a small pendant so it hangs right? If you can get the problem with silk is that it stretches, and that's the main thing. It can fit, and I've fit it before. It's just, that stretching can kind of be a little bit annoying, and it is more susceptible to breaking, I think, because it's more of a delicate. I feel like it's a little bit more delicate. I used to use it, and I used hemp and cotton. I've used all different kinds of materials. I love silk. Silk is one of my all-time favorite materials, but pardon me. I like it. It just stretches. That's all. And I think I might do offset on this side. But whatever you can fit. So you just need fray check to make your thread end nice and stiff so you can make it into a needle. Well, one of our friends stopped by and her nails were so good. And I was like, man, I need to do mine. Sorry, I have show hands right now, which means they're pretty beat up. That's Azalea's ring. I'm wearing it. I cute. And maybe cluster here. One, or maybe here. And then a light pink here. What do you guys think? You think that looks cute? Maybe. Something small right at the top. Maybe this little powerful color. And maybe go like this. So you can see this type of necklace is very fast to make. You just have to do wire wraps. The hardest part of it is your placement. I feel like the placement is one of the hardest parts. Or it takes me a minute to decide where I want everything. And if I did take it apart and put it back together and take it apart, then it would be a lot faster. It could be though, where this side is like a little bit closer and maybe an extra one at the top. What do you guys think? You guys like that? Oh, I see. Alice says the knitting I did with metallic Krynic braid. Wow. Kathy says Ceylon or Eslon regular and micro work the best for crochet. I would agree with that 100%. Because you don't have to deal with stretching. You don't have to deal with that. Because sometimes the silk, and here's the other thing about silk. Silk is beautiful and luxurious to work with. It's one of my all-time favorites. But if you overwork it, which is a lot of handling, you kind of take off the hand, I guess you call it. Like I've crocheted with it and I've crocheted it and handled it so much that it's not shiny anymore. It lost its sheen. I'm not sure why that happens, but maybe it gets sueded, the texture is sueded. And that can kind of make your project look like cotton. And if you're paying for silk, you're looking for the sheen of silk. So this is why, like this one right here, this has two, like this one has really small holes for these really pretty, whatever this, it looks like cherry quartz or something, or strawberry. I'm not sure. I mean, I have to look close. It might be rutilated quartz with, looks like red rutile, so it could be cherry. Oh, Carolyn says the pink with the silver, black, and purple stones look beautiful. I love them. I love them so much. Abby says placement, color choices, it's all hard for me. Well, I think if you have a thing that you like, this to me is the fun part, is sorting and changing it. But once you get kind of a pattern that you're comfortable with doing, I think it gets a lot easier. Especially when you have this works, what works for you. So having different wire at your disposal is pretty nice if you have a couple different, because see, that worked really well. That fit that. And that's 28. That's for sometimes these stones, like some of these really beautiful ones will have really small holes because they have a tendency, and they'll have a tendency to crack. And I discovered this when I started drilling my own things. And that's how I found out why some holes are small. Because it's really hard to drill them and they crack. I don't love that, but what do you do? This part, when I'm making these, I sometimes make them horrendously ugly. And I have to kind of take my time with this part because I like it to be even at the top. And sometimes it doesn't always work out that way. Like it sometimes looks more bent and I have to go back in and fix them. And that usually happens when I'm doing it in a class or a live or something. It's like always that way. All right, we will be choosing, I should say, I kind of forgot about who did we? I was going to say Zoe's not in here, but we're choosing giveaway from the comments section. So if you are interested in that, give us a comment, tell us about something. That's where we choose them, is the comment section. All right, that looks okay. And when I'm working with something with a tidy or like a little tight point, I'll push the stone where it's like this at an angle so I can put my pliers right above it, and that way it doesn't wiggle around and it doesn't crack the tip of my stone. These I need to get. I don't know if I can get these sharpened. That would be nice because these are kind of, if you look, they're kind of messed up. But I think that would be fantastic if that was a service, like getting your scissors sharpened for sewing scissors can be done. Carolyn says the small holes on the gembrias are quite delicate. That's just the nature of the game. It's for sure delicate. It's delicate work. But you know what? It's very satisfying, I think. I like working with big stones and small stones, just depends. But the way that some of these small stones can look so magical, it looks very ethereal. Now, if this were a long necklace, I would suggest taking it and lifting it up and seeing how it looks, because it's not going to drape. I'm doing this so I can see the width, but really it's going to be out like this. Oh, shoot. You're going to have it's not going to be more like that than kind of pointed the way I had it. It's not going to drape that way. So drape is one thing that you can definitely consider. And maybe I'll space it out or just keep the cluster theme going. Wendy says, what's the scoop with Tucson? You have your secret shoppers on the loose? I do. I have several secret shoppers, but my friend Terry from Scarlet Fire, I don't know if y'all know her. You might, Wendy, because she lives in Georgia and does Georgia shows near the Atlanta area. I should get you guys connected because she's really cool. I've known her for probably, I was in my early 20s when we met. We did the Great Bead, or the intergalactic bead shows back when it was much smaller. I know they have them now, but it's not the same group. It used to be owned by a guy named Christopher England, and that dude used to never, ever, and I mean ever, and all the time I've seen that dude, he never wore shoes, even in the wintertime. And it's some Wim Hof action. That looks good there. So anyway, Terry has been doing some shopping. She knows all the people that I know. And I was like, gosh, am I going to be able to get some of the stuff that I wanted to get? I didn't think I'd be able to get it, But she managed to get me some of my favorite things. And we did FaceTime. And she knows the things that I like. So I will say I do not, when I do the shopping with my friends, I don't buy it sight unseen. That's not how, I don't like to do that. I like, you guys know I like to pick it. And so in the past, I've gotten boxes, like pick boxes. And I have a pick box coming. But the main way that I like to do is I like to be able to pick it. And so I'm just going to have those. I'm just going to go ahead and loop those in. Instead of trying to look, how's that going to look? It'll be fine. I'm just going to close it up. Because you know what? I did it one time. And when Greg, I asked him to shop for me and get some things from the different people. And I said, I want these, and these, and the different kind of looks. And I got stuff that, I feel like I still have it today from ages ago. So it was a lesson to me. But sometimes you can ask someone to shop, but might not be the exact same thing that you're looking for. So I like to do like either FaceTime or Pickbox. Pickbox is, people don't do that hardly at all anymore. But if you know them, they can trust you with it. And a Pickbox is when they'll send you, you'll say, hey, can you send me uh, whatever variety? Say you're like, oh, I want sapphires and garnet or whatever. Of course, it has to be someone that they trust you, because sending rubies and sapphires and then sight unseen can be kind of challenging. And then plus you're obligated to buy a certain amount. So what if they don't have the cuts that you like? So that's why you've got to know the vendor really well, if that's the case. So that's why I like to go myself. This year, we're like, I don't know if we're going to actually fly out there. I talked about it. We have a friend that's like, hey, we have a room if you want to stay. But the place that I stayed at last year with Joanne did not. We had that originally, and that fell through. I waited too long. And then it opened up again. And so I was like, oh, yeah. But then it was like, it wasn't the same place exactly, because it was units, like a condo. We stayed at this really good condo. It was kind of close to everything. And I just kind of felt like, man, it's kind of like a sign that nothing is easy with this. And so my friend Terry, she saw me at the Big Crafty Winter Edition, and that's actually pretty cute like that. Kind of like it. Yeah, you want to see it. Carolyn says, "Are you making some multi-gem dangles, i.e., two stones on one wire?" I guess I could. Oh, and then Shannon says, can pin necklace to a vertical design board to design for drape. Oh, yeah. I have a, uh, what do you call it? A bust that I put things on, and it's made out of foam. And that works good too. Sometimes you can see them where it's just like the neck part, where it's just where you can put it like the neck, and that works good. Or try it on if for drape. This is going to drape nicely. I think this will be pretty, and it'll sell right away, I think. I've done the multi-gem at the bottom, and people tend to like that too. But my friend Diane, she does these types of ones where she does like one here, and one up here. And those seem to sell pretty well. I have done multi-gem, and those look really good, especially with really small beads. If you do the multi-gem, almost like an icicle. Let me see if I can find one that can give you that kind of vibe. Let's see if this is narrow enough. It's like, did I just throw in here all like cuts? Probably. Let's see what that looks like. So if you wanted to do a stack, you could. Let's stack up some of these little black opals. That would be pretty. Maybe I'll do it in a pattern. Different colors, just to show it. We'll just see what it looks like. Oh, these are the green sapphires. That looks good on there too. Why not? But I want to pick out all the littlest ones in here and do this, because I think it'll look good. I sold all the earrings that I made that were like this. So note to self, y'all, this is a good seller. Is the stack what was like this long on an ear wire, and it sold really well. So that's another good use for these. Like if you have a bunch of smalls, the itty bitty ones, those are perfect for these kind of stacked earrings. And you can see how fast I'm moving with it. It doesn't take long at all to make a pair. And they're pretty, and they match a lot of things, especially if you could do a color shift or a rainbow. Just depends on what you have. You can mix and match with pearls. The ones I just did a color shift, but that's actually, I kind of love that story. I'm going to make these for myself. Yeah, doesn't it look pretty right there? That one's a little bit big. I'm going to take that one off. It looks a little odd. I like it. It's either small to large, or I don't like it to be ending with a big. It just seems like the flow is not there. Or it's too bumpy. You know what I mean? If that makes any sense. Not bumpy, I guess. And then make it as long as you want. I think it could be longer. And what I'm doing is I am taking my head pin and hitting the bead from the top and then sliding it up to the edge. And I feel like that's the fastest way to do that. I don't know if you see that. And I think that's a pretty cute earring right there. With that little subtle sparkle with the green sapphire and the black opals. They're not shown to their best in this light, but yeah, let me see. I got that. I mean, that was like 2 minutes. Where's the, here we are with this. Make it perfect. Come on, make it perfect. I don't like a messy wrap with these, but you could do a messy wrap. Okay, I'll trim that. And you got to be careful not to crack them with this. I've cracked many a bead doing that little number. And then I do the smash down at the top. So I get misshapen. They rarely get, with this small, they're not going to get misshapen. And this is a little head pin that I think is a 28. Very dainty. And also what's good is it's light, so it doesn't take up much silver. And it's not heavy. So there's one, and I think that looks cute. And just add an ear hook to it, and there you go. And add a fine chain to dangle if you want. Yeah, pretty and petite. So yeah, I ended up selling. I made 2 pairs over the weekend, and I sold both pairs. So, and I did a color shift. I started with like a dark blue, and they went up to orange. And they were really pretty, and they're fun to make. So if you have little itty bitty beads, get 28 gauge head pins, and then you can make these things all day long. That was literally like 3 minutes to make that. So, or imagine it with that. That could be kind of cool. Like one side is that, if it were longer, you could do it asymmetrical and chain. But you can picture it. Here, we'll put this one in just to picture it. And how it would look on the card. See what I mean? Easy. And then a little shepherd's hook, it just kind of makes itself. All right. Okay, I am fading. So I am going to finish this up. You guys can see what I have here. And this is nice. I've used some of the bigger pieces, but with the smalls in that, you could just make these all day long. And they could be mixed. They could be ombre, be easy. And that would look cute like that too. You could do an icicle effect, or all of them like at the bottom where it's like this. And you have like several of these going. That could be cute. It could be a real interesting way. Yeah, Carolyn says fun to play with the gem color combos and designs. Yeah, I think it. I mean, there's so much potential with designing. I mean, you could then take that if you didn't have these head pins, you could always do this, but put a loop on the other end and dangle another thing from it. So this would have a little bit of loop if you don't have dangles, or if you don't have head pins, just turn that piece of wire into 2 loops and then dangle something else. And it could even be a dangle that's like a little bit big, like what if that was the case? That doesn't look bad. That could actually look pretty cool, or start it where, although I have to say, when you do this, that can get misshapen. If you make this too long and something's heavy, they can get kind of bent. So if you do that, give it 2 twists, or like a twist and a half, not too many, because if it's really thin, it can break, especially with silver. So just keep that in mind. Abby says, great idea. They look great with the light shining through. I think so. I think they look good. with your hair up, and you get, it's a subtle sparkle, a very pretty sparkle. Or these guys would be perfect for that. Although, you know what, I love these on a crochet necklace. I think that's where those shines, where you can see them like on the. They need to be spotlight, I think. All right, I'm gonna flip this. Let's see where that would go. All right, my friends. Well, thank you for joining me. What stone is that? Which one? Which stone? Which stone was that? I think crazy like that last stone that was on the bottom, or is it this itty bitty? Because this is ruby in kyanite. It's pretty cool. They do have one called ruby in zozite, but that has it's like a green color. And Carolyn says, I like that with the large stone at the bottom. Yeah, I think that's cool. The sliced ruby in kyanite. Those are pretty cool because they grow almost like a stalactite where it's kind of a drip. And the core you're getting, there's slices of that. It's kind of like, it's almost like, I'm going to draw a picture of it. I had a thing here, and as I was like, don't show that's my UV resin collection that I was messing around with the other day. I made some crazy looking resin pieces for a class idea I'm working on with Kinga. But I don't see it over here. So, anyhow, all right. Okay, my friends, I am going to eat some Indian food and relax on the couch. I worked hard this weekend. Had a good weekend. Where's the rest of that boy's churu? Let's see if he notices. This is almost like to see how quick he is ready for this. You see that? That was like one flick, and he's like, "What you got? What's in there?" He's like, "What's in there?" Ah, I forgot to announce. Azalea left. She's not. She's kind of under the weather. But we talked about like who was the winner of last week's draw. So I don't have that piece of paper with me. I don't see it. It was on a post-it note. I will announce it. Look at that. He didn't use full cloth, my baby. Mama's little freshborn. I'm trying to peer. I have all this lights and stuff over here. I'm peering through to see the comments section. That head popped right up. Yes, it did. Look how he's into it. I showed his picture probably 500 times. I guess think he's, in case you're wondering, I do feed this cat. He's like, let me get in there. Marty didn't finish putting it in there. Hold on a second. You just have to be patient. Be patient. He's acting like he's never eaten before. He's never seen food. Oh, Sandy says, love your necklace designs. Thank you. Oh, thank you, Melanie. Thank you for hanging out with us. Yes, I appreciate it. Sometimes I think it would feel pretty not great to be on a live and then not that many people watching, like maybe none of the people. That would be kind of scary. Marty, you were a little over enthusiastic with that claw that time. All right. His face was like, he's into it. He loves churu. All right. Oh, I see. He's got some on his head. No, he flicked it, and I felt it flick to my neck. I don't know where it went, but it flicked somewhere on my neck. Wendy, I miss you too. Let's get together. Hopefully me and Connie can get together on Tuesday with my friend Terry. Terry from Scarlet Fire. She does a lot of silver jewelry, and I will connect her. She's a really fun gal. She's really cute, really fun lady. Oh, thank you, Heidi. Love the cat and your designs. I appreciate that. All right. Oh, Jeanette, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate y'all sticking with me, hanging with me when I'm kind of disasperated after a show and a little bit hoarse. Oh, thank you. That's my son. All right, my friends. I will see you on Wednesday and we'll do something fun. I don't know. Maybe you can leave me some ideas of something that might be fun to watch. We worked with this tonight. We can revisit crochet if you're interested, or knotting. We could do a knotting video. Let me know. You can let me know. All right, my friends, I'm going to turn in. Okay, love you out there. We'll see you on Wednesday.